Okay, and how about the word economics? That's a big word, so I'm going to write that down as well. Economics. Okay, it said, economics is the study of how we get things we want and things we need. All right, let's look at another page in the book. I want to look at the page for G. Here is G. G is for goods and services. Goods are things like ice cream cones, skateboards, bikes, or purses. Services are provided by people, teachers, firemen, or nurses. All right, so do you see some examples of things that people are buying? It says goods are things you can buy. What are some examples of goods that you see in this picture? Yeah, they can buy the ice cream cone. Goods are things you might be able to hold in your hand. This little boy bought an ice cream cone, and he can hold it and he can eat it. Okay, any other things you see? Oh yeah, the balloon. Here's a man making a balloon. Balloon art. So a balloon is an example of a good. Okay, that's a good. You can buy that and hold it in your hand. Okay, let's go on to the P page, and then we might come back to that page. Okay. P. P is for producers and consumers. Producers make things we want, like a cool electronic device. She's talking on her cell phone. That's the electronic device. She bought her cell phone. So she is a consumer because she bought it. Consumers, if they like the thing, may buy it at the right price. So the store was the producer. They made the cell phone. And she's the consumer because she bought the cell phone. Do you see some other examples of things she bought at the store? Yeah, she bought some bags of clothes. She might have some clothes in there, some candy, some gifts. So she is the consumer because she bought these things. Looking back at the page with the goods and services, do you guys see some examples of consumers on this page? Yeah, that's right. These kids are the consumers. They bought the ice cream. They're consuming the ice cream. So they are consumers. They bought it. Now, who is the producer here in this book, in this page? You're exactly right. The man selling the ice cream is the producer. He has the ice cream and he's selling it. Very good. Okay, so we're going to look at a Four Corners graphic organizer. And we're going to put these in our journals today. So I've got one for each of you to do. And you have 2 graphic organizers. Now on the top box, you're going to write the word consumer. And you're going to fill in the top box for consumers. And on the bottom box, under vocabulary word, you're going to write the word producer right here. And in a minute, I'm going to pass these out, and I want to model to you how I would do one, and then you're going to complete this with a partner and put it in your journals. So I'm going to pass them out to the kids so they have them, they can start looking at them, and then I'm going to bring their attention back up to the front and talk about it and model it for them. So I would go through, so I have consumer written in my first box. Now my second box says my connection. I'm going to think about how have I been a consumer in my life? Think for just a minute. How have you been a consumer in your life? I want you to turn to your neighbor and tell them when you were a consumer. When did you buy something? Okay? I bought something when. And tell them about that for a few minutes. And talk about when you were consumers. All right, so coming back together, I was a consumer when I went to the grocery store. Today, I went to the store to buy things for our dinner tonight. So, I bought food at the store. So, I was the consumer when I bought groceries. I bought food at the store for our dinner. What it means. I'm going to think about what consumer means, and I'm going to write it in my own words. I'm going to write a definition for consumer right here. So any ideas? Think for a minute about how would you describe what a consumer is? Okay, now I want you to turn to your neighbor and tell them, what do you think a consumer is? A consumer is someone who blank. Talk about that for a few minutes. All right, I want to hear your thoughts. What's an example, or tell me in your own words what a definition of a consumer is. All right, let's hear it. Okay, I'm going to hear a student and write down maybe something like what they say. So a consumer is someone who buys things. All right. And then for my last square in my graphic organizer, I'm going to put a picture. I'm going to draw a picture of myself at the store because that's my connection to consumer. So I'm going to draw myself at the grocery store, a picture, and that's what's going to go there. So now you're going to have about 15 minutes to work with your partner. You're each going to complete your own. You're going to write down the word consumer under vocabulary word, and you're going to do just as I did, except on your own. You are going to write down, when have you been a consumer? Or when did you see a consumer? Maybe your mom was a consumer when she bought something. Maybe your friend was a consumer. And then you're going to write in your own words the definition of a consumer and draw a picture. And you're going to do the same thing in the second box for producer. So I will be walking around the room as you're working on this, and I'll be checking to see how you're doing, and I'm here to answer any questions and help you as you work. So 15 minutes or so goes by. They're working on those. All right, class, we're going to come back together and do our next activity. They've put their journals away. Now, in your table groups, you guys are grouped into tables. I'm going to give each table a picture. And I want you to think about, is this picture an example of a consumer or a producer? And I want you to talk with your table about that. I've got several different pictures and I passed them out. And you are deciding, this is an example of a consumer because, or this is an example of a producer because. The students will talk with their groups for a few minutes. Okay, and then I'll bring them back together and I will ask them, okay, so table 1, you have this picture. What's going on in this picture? I want one person from your table to be your representative and come onto the front. So, here, this student is going to say what's going on in this picture. I see someone, the student's going to share. They might say that they see someone getting a haircut. All right, so is this an example of a consumer or a producer? And that student's going to respond. This is an example of a consumer because she's getting her haircut.